It's kind of nice in here. We have all this art to look at.
Isn't it lovely?
Yes.
Yeah, it just reminded me of it. I think my phone's outside.
Plaza in Spain.
That is, yeah, they're
Is that
really
pretty?
fun.
That was a high school place. Marion High, 11th grade. It's really neat.
Oh, I wanted to get this phone turned off.
Wow.
I thought I had done that already.
So we did this part here too.
Okay, I'm gonna start the Zoom, so it gives Matt a chance to get started. Oh, God. Looks so dang old. Oh, man. It's like, hi, welcome. Glad to see you. I think there's some spaces right in the front. Looks like Matt started. Okay, I'm going to companion. Hello, Matt.
Hi, Michelle. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Well, thank you. Thank you. We have a group here in the library,
Great.
and hopefully we've got others that will be joining us via Zoom. We also have, we'll also be live streaming this, which Candy is doing right now, our awesome tech guru. So what I'll do is I'd like to welcome all of you here. I gotta put this computer down for a sec. Can't talk. My name's Michelle Lemire. I'm a volunteer with the Menominee County Democratic Party. I feel as though education's in my bones. I'm a former teacher and an administrator, and I think it's really important for us to understand issues that may or are affecting us.
Is that better?
And let's keep it on. Well, okay. All right. So, but when we start our fireside chats, we start with some norms, and Luke has those in front. Because this is a time for us to learn. We want to be able to listen to learn, ask questions for clarification. We're going to respect multiple perspectives, challenge ideas, not the person. Don't freeze people in time, including yourself, because after this cybersecurity presentation, you'll be able to be so wise and you'll be able to understand when things come to you and you can discern what's real and not real. So I'm very pleased. Everybody, there's our norms, and we hope you will abide by them. I'm so pleased. One of my friends, Doug Leisenring, is a guy I worked with when I was in Escanaba. And Doug said, you know, who'd really be good to talk about cybersecurity is Matt McMahon. And so I contacted Matt, and I so appreciate the fact that he's giving of his time today for our community and for our people online. And so Matt McMahon is the director of MiSecure through the Michigan Association of Intermediate School Administrators organization as well. So Matt, welcome and thank you. You're all the way up here in Menominee, Michigan, in the Banana Belt.
Great to be there.
Thank you.
I'm going to share a slide deck then.
Okay. Candy, can you help me with the volume too? I think it's just coming out of mine. Uh-oh.
I'll go test 1, 2, 3. I'll give you
Okay. While you're
test
doing
1, 2.
those settings, yeah, I forgot to do that. This is the sound.
Test 1, 2.
Thank you.
Test.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, I said, why is it?
A, B, C, D.
You're doing a good job. It wasn't
Fireside chat.
output. Did I
Test
hit
1, 2, 3, 4.
HDMI should be on the
it?
end.
It should be.
We had it a minute ago.
Okay.
A, B, C.
Let me just make sure I'm pushing this in enough. Okay. Well, I think,
Test 1, 2.
I think we can hear you. Oh, maybe. Let me try this again.
It's weird, because you're saying HDMI, but it's not going there.
Yeah.
Test 1, 2.
That's better.
Maybe.
That's good.
That's
Okay,
better.
all right. Well, it's a small room. We think we can hear you regardless, but I apologize for stopping you there. So, okay.
Not a problem. Oh, not a problem. I can speak up too a little bit, so we should be good. Use my coaching voice.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
A, B, C. Sound good?
yeah. All right.
Great. All right. I will go ahead and get started. This is the title of our presentation today. I'm hoping to wrap it up in 45 to 50 minutes to give you a chance to ask some questions, but I'm pretty flexible. So if anyone has a question, Michelle, just stop me, interrupt me. Will not hurt my feelings. I taught high school, so I'm ready for anything. My name is Matt McMahon. I'm the director of MiSecure, as Michelle mentioned. There's my contact information, my phone. That's my personal cell phone. Email address, which you mentioned is built through MAISA, and our website, our project website. I also put up a QR code for anybody with a phone that wants to use that and knows how, or just the same thing. You can type in the URL that's below there, bit.ly/MiSecure. We call it MiSecure, but as in Michigan, MiSecure-MCDP. That should bring up the presentation for you. If anyone's done that, Michelle, can you just make sure, because sometimes permissions get messed up.
Mhm.
If anyone in the room can just give me a, yeah, I got there, thanks.
Anybody?
I get it.
Okay, Candy's checking it out for you. And as I said, I'm going to be emailing this. If you leave us your
Yep.
email. Yeah, okay.
Somebody got in?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. Thanks for letting me know that. Great. There's no need to follow along, but I think it's sometimes easier. And we are going to look at some phishing emails. And so your neighbors might lean over your shoulder to look at your screen if it's a little easier to read than the big one. And for the folks that are remote too, they might be able to pull that up. Just give you some background so that I'm not just a face on the wall. I live in Midland, Michigan. So right now I'm in Menominee, but usually I'm in Midland, Michigan. Half of the summer or half of the year. The other half of the year we're up in Indian River, just south of the bridge there. So not quite a Uper, still 30 minutes south, but we're getting there. We're headed that direction. My work, I've worked in Gratiot, Isabella, RESD. If you aren't sure where Gratiot, Isabella, RESD is, it's right in the middle of the mitten. It's right down 27. If you head down to Lansing, you're passing through Ithaca. The schools in the Gratiot and Isabella counties, that was my territory. We supported them as an ISD, which meant that we supplied services that they weren't able to supply themselves, mostly because they were too small. So Beale City has a few hundred kids. Really tough for them to figure out how to run fiber internet in there and do content filtering and routing and all these other things that you have to do in order to provide internet for those kids. So we did that out of the ISD, and that was my job for 30 years. Prior to that, I actually graduated with a math and computer science degree, did a little bit of teaching, then went into the ISD. To round it out though, for fun, the rest of my life, I do have 4 kids, been married 30 plus years, 36 years this year. We have 4 kids, a set of twins, and boy-girl twins, and another boy and girl. So they kept us busy all of our life, and they still keep us kind of busy, but we have a little bit more free time now. I play hockey 3 times a week just to stay fit. And in all honesty, it's more about the juice boxes in the locker room than it is about the hockey, but it's still fun. So what is MiSecure? We've mentioned that a couple times now. Michelle mentioned it, and I've mentioned it. This was actually, it's a one-time funded project in the 23-24 state of Michigan budget. It was carved out. It's section 97G. You can go and look it up. It's also clicked or linked on our website, the MiSecure.org website. You can find all the details there. It provided about $9 million, and it was designed to provide the services below, those 3 check boxes, over the course of about 3 to 5 years, as the money allows. So really flexible, really focused on just those 3 kind of things. They are specifically form a SOC, a Security Operations Center. That's a staffed group of individuals. We have 4 of us. We all work remote. We just met this morning. We'll meet again tomorrow. We meet regularly throughout the week. And I'll explain later what that SOC team does in more detail, but it provides for 4 full-time employees. It provides for MDR service, that's Managed Detection and Response, service for servers in the state. The servers were getting hit with cybersecurity incidents. We put software on them to help protect them. I'll explain more about that towards the end of the presentation. And then we train, monitor, and track district progress. We're there to support every district in Michigan, 100% of the districts in Michigan we're here for. They can call us anytime. We'll be available to help them in just about any capacity. So didn't want to delve in too deep on MiSecure. I want to jump into the presentation. So as I said a couple times, we'll come back and look at that at the end of the presentation a little bit more about how we're helping schools. Today, I want to focus on the digital safety around phishing and passwords. And if you've heard it before, if you're like, hey, I know all about phishing, I'll have a few things that'll maybe surprise you a little bit about how good it's gotten. It surprised me in the last year. So I'm trying to cover every range of audience member that we might have in the room. Some suggestions about passwords. I have a lot of personal history with how impactful that can be. Friends have gotten hit by choosing poor passwords and things like that. So we'll talk a bit about that. Some real suggestions about protecting yourself. Some real basics there. There's also a link, a whole page of links at the end of the presentation. So if you didn't jump on earlier, make sure you watch your email. Michelle will share that presentation with you. There are some good handy links in there, I think, that you'll want to follow up on in your own time. Then finally, we'll talk about what's cybersecurity, what's going on in schools, how does all this stuff impact schools? We're really focused on you in the first section, and then we'll talk about what's happening in the schools. How does all that stuff play out in schools? And then why MiSecure is important. What are we doing about it? How's MiSecure helping about that? And then we'll jump into questions and answers. I see we're 10 minutes into the presentation, so I'm gonna keep moving. And like I said, Michelle, if anybody has a question, you watch for hands or
I will.
something, you just. Okay, you have to start every cybersecurity presentation with a scary set of slides. So that's what these are, just to get your attention. I just came across these last week and thought I'd throw them in there. There's 2 slides that I have for you. They came out of that link there, which is the FBI's annual report. We actually don't work much with the FBI. The FBI is more on consumer losses, consumer cybersecurity issues, large corporations, multinational corporations. We tend to work with local law enforcement, which is simply another avenue to get cybersecurity support. So if a school has an issue, it's usually a local issue rather than an international large FBI type issue. But their statistics that they gather are really good as far as how cybersecurity is impacting consumers, us as citizens. So you can see the complaints have been going up and up and up, a few dips in here, but we're over 1 million complaints per year. That's not cumulative, that's annual. So last year they had over 1 million complaints filed with them. Those are typically losses because they followed up on text from a phone. They got involved with a fake person on the internet. More likely, they followed up on a phishing email. They were scammed by a phishing email or some other catch like that. That report breaks it down in gory detail by state, by age group, by topic. What's the biggest one this year? Their biggest one this year is cryptocurrency. Anyway, it's easy to get involved. A lot of people say, we'll help you, but they just take your money. So you have to really be careful with that. And people get scammed in that area. The second scary graph is the same data, but reported as values of money rather than the actual number of complaints. So you notice the trend difference a little bit. While the complaints would go up and down a little bit, the values keep going up. A good 20% per year rise. We think we know what 2026 is going to look like, sadly. But hopefully this will help you not be one of these statistics. So we're going to jump into phishing emails and why it's important. And I did send a PDF of the actual emails, and I think Michelle will be able to include that as well if you want to just look at the emails. They're the same images that print this.
They actually have printed copies, most of them.
Oh, fantastic. I think you'll find those useful as we go through them, and I will refer to them. I'll leave them on the screen as well, and just in case you don't have that. But first thing I want to do is talk the difference between spam and phishing. Spam is if if you know the history, it came from an old Monty Python skit where they wouldn't stop saying spam. It was super annoying. But that's where that comes from, because that's the kind of email you get. It's legitimate email. It's perfectly fine. It may come from Ford, Chevy. It may come from Panasonic. It's something that they got a hold of your email and they're trying to sell you something. It's legit. It's just annoying. Phishing is not legit, and it's also annoying, but it looks legit. It's trying to look legit. It's fake in some way, and they're trying to get your information. So I hear people use those two words interchangeably, and just spam is unwanted email, and phishing is like a subset of that where it's unwanted, but it's also fake, and it's really trying to get your information. Usually trying to get your financial credit card information, or your credentials. If they can get your password, they're happy. Or other personal information, social security numbers, your birth date. The reason that they want that is typically they don't do anything with it. They sell it to somebody else that is set up to do it. So they want to sell or share your credentials with somebody else and says, hey, I have Michelle's email and her password. Go do something evil with it. And then they move on to the next victim. Same thing with the financial information. They may steal your credit card information. They're probably not using it. They're selling it. And they might get $10 or $15 for your credit card number, your CSV, and your expiration date. That's about it. It's only worth about $10, $15 to them. So, but that's what they're trying to do in their phishing emails. In the past, it used to contain malware. It still can and it still does, but we see less and less of that. Malware would be like a PDF that is specifically designed to take advantage of an old hackable version of Adobe Reader. Adobe Reader may allow something to happen. It's some way or another, it's designed to do something bad on your computer. Again, it doesn't happen a lot. This is the old Norton antivirus days, if you remember that. Some people still use that. It does protect you against malware. But malware is becoming less common, and still an issue though. One of the ways to spot phishing emails is to look for anything indicating urgency, trying to scare you, or even trying to just make you curious. Hey, did you see these old photos of you? Oh, I found this great website that shows this famous person in some awkward photos. You should click on it. Anything that uses any of those kinds of things, especially if you didn't ask for it, it's just there. So I'm going to go through some examples here. This is an older example that many of you may have seen something like this, where they go through and they break it down. And this is still true. I still see phishing emails like that. And I'm going to share you some of the phishing emails I had in my computer. But the ways to spot these would be the domain of the sender doesn't quite match the domain that you would expect. So in this case, it's security.onmicrosoft.com. On Microsoft is not Microsoft. It might be Microsoft with a 0 here, or a 0 here, or some other small little catch. But looking at the sender's actual email address is critical. That's almost always step one. And that's how I spot 95% of my phishing emails. So get in the habit of looking at the actual email address. Don't trust what it says. You actually sometimes have to hover above it in order to see it. But that's the first thing to do, is to look at it. It may contain a virus, but like I mentioned, it's less common. A lot of times it's something like an invoice, which is what this one is looking at, an invoice. If they're sending you an invoice, why are they calling you dear customer? They know your name. It's in the invoice. There's no reason it shouldn't say dear Mr. McMahon or something like that. So they'll almost always be generic. Why? Because the phishing source, the person sending this out, they do the least amount of work they possibly can. They create one email and they blast it out to every email address they can get. So that's how they operate. They're trying to just send it out to as many people as they can and want to keep it simple. They don't have time to customize it. There will almost always be some kind of an urgency. It's due now, 5 days from now, something you have to do it, or the IRS is going to revoke, come and hunt you down and arrest you. Crazy stuff like that. We see it all the time. It's trying to scare you and put you in a panic mode. And it works. It's worked on me. Like, I've seen things that make me go, ooh, it's natural human response. I know better. But my first reaction when I see that is, ooh, that would be scary if that happened. Let's see if this is real. And so far, knock on wood, it never has been. But sometimes those things, they can happen. Almost never will something urgent come through the email. Maybe an invoice due, but typically the IRS, the police, no one's going to email you something that's that urgent. You're going to get it in the US mail, you get it through a legitimate phone call. There's other ways, and we'll talk about how to confirm that. You can watch for poor grammar, what's included without the apostrophe in this email, who gets it, or to unsubscribe. This one right here says set your set your message center preferences, and they say when you hover above it, which I'm doing now, but it's an image, so it's not going to work. But when they hover above it with their mouse cursor, they can see the address as a weird number. It's not. It doesn't say Microsoft.com here. It's a weird, suspicious link. So hovering is probably your best friend when it comes to spotting phishing emails. Move your mouse above it and look for those things. So when you're actually interacting with a phishing email, that's the way to test it. It's not a guarantee. And if you do hover down here to some of these other things, like edit, that may actually go to Microsoft. They're trying to get you to click one or two things. They're trying to get you to open the invoice in this case, but some things might actually go to Microsoft. We're seeing more and more of that, where 90% of the email is actually legit. It goes to the right place. It does the right thing. Just the link they give you is the evil part. So this is, like I mentioned, this is an older example. This is from 2019. So this is a good 7 years old. And I've used this in presentations for a long time. But the newer stuff is getting better. And so then I want to share with you some of those. Consequences, we've already mentioned. They want to get your credentials. Usually the phishing emails we see now are trying to get you to click on something. And they'll often be things like, hey, we shared this document with you. Or it's important that you click this link to fill out, to see this bad report from the IRS. You need to click now and sign this document by the end of the day. When you click on it, it will then ask you for your email address and your password. And it will maybe even look like a Google or a Microsoft site. It may look like something you've seen before. So if that happens, again, hovering above the links at the top of the screen, mine right now says docs.google. So this is actually at Google. But if I hover above this, down in the bottom left, I can see phonelookup.com. Don't believe what it says. This one is legit because it's me. I'm a good guy. But if you do hover above the link, then it's evil. Then it will come up as something different than you were expecting. You're trying to be tricked. But the consequences are stolen credentials, stolen financial information, possibly malware, or the new one they're trying to do too is to engage you. Is trying to say, oh, yeah, we do have you paying $500 for this invoice. Let me work with you to give you a refund. I'll just need your credit card number so that I can apply that to the credit card. And then of course, they don't give you the refund, they give you the anti-refund and take your $500. So testing, I mentioned it before, you can look at the source. I'll mention that again a little bit later. One trick is to Google the phone numbers in the email. Test them, take them and look them up. I use phonelookup.com. That's a pretty friendly one. They don't try to sell me a lot of stuff, but you can just take the phone number and Google it. It says it's PayPal, is it? Find out, Google it. You can Google the company and the phone number. You can do it the other way. You can say, is that the number for PayPal? You can type Google PayPal phone number. When I do that, I get an 888 number. So don't rely, this is critical, don't rely on any information in the actual email. They're lying. Everything in the email is lying. I don't care if it's from a legitimate source. If it says it's from your bank and it's legitimate, don't use the number there. Use the number you know for your bank. Don't trust things that are being sent to you. I have some examples of why that's critical. So here's the first one. You have a printout of this. I'd like you to take a look at it and maybe discuss it with your neighbor while I take a sip of water. Is there anything in there that you see that's suspicious? I found one thing for sure. This is a pretty good email. There's definitely two things on there you might be able to spot. So if you take a look at the printout, and we'll come back and see if anybody has any ideas.
If you have any ideas, then raise your hand and I'll let you offer that idea to Matt. Okay, Bill?
An iPhone Pro doesn't cost $599. It costs way more than that.
That's a pretty good price for it, isn't it?
Anyone else notice anything?
Customer name,
Customer name?
registered PayPal.
Yeah, registered PayPal
Yeah.
user.
Is in the end.
No customer.
Customer email on file.
What?
Yeah, this is very generic.
It also doesn't look like formatting PayPal either.
I felt the same way. There's no logos on this, right? There's no PayPal logo, which is easy to do. So they were really super lazy.
Sales tax was only 20 cents. That was not right.
The sales tax is 20 cents.
I was wondering if someone would spot that. It took me a while to catch on to 20 cents state deposit or sales tax. Where do you get that?
That's Alaska or Texas. No sales tax, minimal sales tax.
No sales. 20 cents. And then up here is WashingtonUSD.org. That doesn't say PayPal here, does it? So yeah, good job spotting some of this stuff. But you see, it does look pretty good. It's not a bad phishing email. And here's what they want you to do. They want you to call this phone number. And this is what I mentioned. If you Google that phone number, it will not pop up with PayPal. If you actually Google PayPal's number, it's right at the top. Google will throw it right at the top and say, yep, that number belongs to PayPal. But this one, it comes up to like 3 or 4 sources of you to go check. Nothing in the top 10 or 20 say PayPal on it. If you go to that link that I showed earlier, this phonelookup.com, and punch that number in, then you can kind of verify that's not assigned to PayPal. Or you can Google PayPal phone number, and you'll see it's an 888 number. It's not matching. They want you to call this because operators are standing by waiting to take your call, but they're there to lie to you and say, hello, this is PayPal. This is PayPal. How can I help you? And then you have to go through the routine of going, yeah, you're right. We don't want to ship you this. This was a mistake. We see that. Let me give you a credit. What's your credit card number? Okay, we've given you the credit. And now it's just between you and them. I don't even know what happens for sure. I haven't done it yet. But there's some really neat YouTube videos out there where super, super smart people do things no one should ever do. They actually call and they play the game with them. And they can sometimes reverse scam them. They're hilarious. Don't do that. Leave that to the experts because it's kind of a dangerous game. The next one I have in your packet there is a FedEx. This one's pretty good. They do have the urgency, 14 days. Not super urgent. I don't know. Has anybody heard of FedEx saying we lost your package? Here's a pair of AirPods or Apple Watch. This doesn't sound right. What kind of business model is that? They make a mistake and they send you a set of headphones? Kind of crazy, a crazy premise.
The FedEx logo is also wrong.
They're saying the FedEx logo
Yeah,
is
it's got
also
an E in
wrong.
there. No.
Yeah, it doesn't have that weird kind of pushed together, right? It's just like an aerial font.
The alignment of the X is right up against the E in the logo. That is not there.
Yeah,
So the arrow is not, it's still sort of there, but it's not as clearly delineated.
yeah. If it's ever been pointed out, the FedEx logo has a little arrow in it, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's not there. This is just like a printed logo. But again, it wouldn't be that hard to put the FedEx logo. But in this case, yeah, that's an accurate spot. Like, why would they do that? That doesn't make sense. This one I didn't find a lot of problems with. You can see again, the email sender was something. It says FedEx shipment, but their email address is FedEx shipment @ This doesn't look right.
No.
I hate to get technical, but this is so critical, is looking at this part.
Yeah.
And one way I do that in my personal email, and I can't on the screen, but is to hover above this. If it doesn't show you, you can hover the mouse above that, and it will usually pop out and show you the actual email address. And that's the way to see it. The problem I have is you can't do that on a phone. There's no way to hover on a phone. And so when I see the email, I'm like, ooh, is that real? Well, I have to wait till I get back to my computer. So I just leave it alone till I get back there. There might be a way, but it's certainly not convenient to hover above it and see who it is. So this one is, this one's more of that engaging thing. They're gonna say redeem your lost item claim. So you might click on that. I suspect what they'll say is, oh yeah, we've given you a free, pick which one you want. You say, well, great, I'll take an Apple Watch. All right, well, you know what, it's $25 for shipping. That might be their scheme.
Matt, we do have a question. What was your question?
Yes,
Is
please.
it okay to click on the unsubscribe?
Is it okay to click on the unsubscribe?
Good question.
If it's a phishing email, I would not do that.
Oh.
If it's spam, I would. Spam, if you look at it and you totally believe it's legit, up here it says, Ford.com or lists.ford.com. If it's a legitimate one, then it's perfectly fine to unsubscribe. If you are a Google customer, you can use their unsubscribe. That's fine in this case. But even with phishing emails, I don't. I just never unsubscribe. I don't want to engage at all. Once I think you're trying to scam me, once that trigger goes off in my brain, I'm saying you're trying to scam me, I just delete it. Nothing to do. I'm not going to respond to them. I'm not going to unsubscribe. I'm just going to, because they'll never come again. They're never going to come back. This email address here will never send to you again. Typically, you're going to get the exact same email from another source because what the attackers do is they trade these kits, these ready to deploy kits because they're lazy. And so they get the kit, they click go, they add their email addresses, and it sends it out. The next person gets the same kit, they change the phone number, they change the links, they change their email addresses, they just go and send their kit out. Yes.
Luke, we have a question.
Yeah, so if you experience this, should you report it to someone and who? Or should you not?
Yeah, you could report it. You could report it to the FBI, that Internet Crimes Center. But 99% of these, the best thing to do is just delete it or ignore it. If you're part of an organization like I am, an MAISA, what we usually do is under these 3 dots on Google, if you click on those, oops, forgot I wasn't on my email. You can report phishing on these 3 dots. There's a thing that says report phishing. That will go to our Google administrator, who will then say, yep, that is a phishing email. Now, in reality, this came into my Google account, and Google caught it already and put it into a spam folder. I rarely, if ever, go into my spam folder, but for this presentation, I did. So you're already, if you're like me, if you are similar to me, you're already getting some of these things. Google's catching them and filtering them away for you. And if you go to the 3 dots up here and click report phishing, that helps Google to know, okay, if I see similar messages from this user, 5 people have reported it as phishing, I'm gonna pull it out of everybody's email box and put it into that spam folder. So, well, if you were to call somebody and report it, you'd be there all day. If you get a lot of email, you'd be there all day making calls. Going, got another one, and they're not gonna do anything about it because it's a one and gone. But reporting it to Google through these dots is helpful. If you're an organization, they may have a different procedure for you. We use a product that monitors this. It uses a little bit of AI, which is kind of cool, and pulls out messages from people's email boxes even after they're delivered. So it's really letting the technology do the job. So that was a very similar example. If you notice the date on both of these, April 6th, these are pretty recent. These are pulled out of my email box and they're very recent. The third and final one I have is it's a neat trick. And I don't know this company. This company, I'm gonna a bit of a spoiler for you. StreamYard is a legit company. you can go to their website, StreamYard.com. They're kind of interesting. They help with streaming, podcast type people or YouTube streamers. They sell services to those people, and they'll set up their podcast. And this is apparently a way for a YouTuber to send out notices that they have a new podcast coming out. So this company has a portal. It really is from StreamYard. It really is going to you. It says, thanks for registering for, and this bolded section should be the name of my podcast. So this company lets the podcaster fill that blank in and say the name of the podcast and then link to the podcast. What they're doing instead, the fisher, the evil, the attacker, is saying, let's use this very good service and say, thank you for registering for, you paid this much for cryptocurrency using PayPal. This will be deducted every month. That should scare you a little bit if you've never heard of this. So people focus on this bolded section and they failed to connect this, thank you for registering for, we're excited you can join us. That fill in the blank was not what they thought they would do with it. The company does not want their service to be used this way. The company is sending it out on behalf of their customer, in this case, whoever their customer is an evil person. It's their service is being abused. I've seen this happen with PayPal. PayPal will send out, you have an invoice. And it's set up to legitimately do this, but the attacker's hijacking the legitimate service because they know one of our tricks is to look at this email address. And if you follow that advice, you'd look at this and go, well, that's legit. Especially if it's a service you're more familiar with. You'd go, wow, that really is from PayPal.com. And I've done this before. And I went, that is from PayPal. How did they do this? And I had to dig into it to figure out how they got this message to be sent from PayPal to me containing this phishing alert, this lie, this scam. So they're getting more and more sophisticated. So those are the three examples I had. I don't know that you're experts at this now, but you hear one thing in common, and it's that hover or go above and look at the email address. Look for inconsistencies. Look for anything unusual in there. Don't trust anyone. Be a little paranoid. It's okay. At school, I'm going to give you another example of a really good one at school. And I'm going to get a little geeky out on this one because we were involved with it. But we do see at school a lot of fake invoices coming into business officials. We're seeing requests to change employee information. Please change my bank account. They get a lot of legitimate ones, and they also get a lot of fake ones. How can they do this? How do they distinguish? So schools are getting these types of requests. We see a lot of gift card purchases. Hey, this is the coach. It's the end of the season. I want to give everybody a $10 gift card. My meeting is this afternoon. Can you go purchase me 50 or 25 gift cards? And then just give me the numbers off them. And you believe you're talking to the coach. And you're there to support the coach. And you want to help. And it's usually worded in such a way that plays on your good nature. And you say, great, I'll go do that for you. And you give them their 25 credit card numbers and your school's out $250 because that wasn't a coach, that was a scammer. So we've seen that happen. New financial transaction information. Maybe they'll pretend to be a vendor you work with and say, here, this is our new ACH or EFT or whatever the bank account transfer numbers are, routing numbers. These are our new routing numbers. Can you please make a change in your records? In other words, give me your money. Don't give it to the company. I want your money. We see a lot of efforts to steal credentials. Those are super valuable because they get passed on to ransomware and more sophisticated attackers. If they can get a username, an email address, and a password, that can be gold to them. The attacks are getting more and more sophisticated. And I think my next slide is to go through an example of one of those. Well, not yet. So I say schools have it harder and here than a lot of companies or businesses do. Because for one thing, we like to be transparent. We're providing a lot of public information. Go to our websites, look it up. Board minutes are published. We respect FOIA requests, or most schools do or should. I always like to be transparent and give all the information, so post it and let people know. A lot of companies can hide behind that because they're private organizations and not public. We have known listed roles and relationships. If you go to a school website, you can see who the principal is, the business manager, the teacher, you know the relationships. We have limited resources. As you know, we're low staffed, we're understaffed. We don't have a lot of people focusing on this. And we always have kind of weak policies. We're always a little bit behind the curve about some of those policies and procedures. These are all true. Most schools would agree with all of these things and say yes. So that makes it more challenging for us when it comes to phishing emails. Here's a good example of that. This is something that's common for schools, is to post the results of a construction bid. They may say, Great Excavating LLC, here's their numbers. This other company, here's their numbers. This other company, here's their numbers. We're going to award the bid to Great Excavating. So now we not only know, and we post this, we make this public. So now the attacker goes, oh, well, that's some good information. Now I know the name of the company. I know the amount, and usually there'll even be dates in here because we know the general targeted date. So I'm going to target in on this number and create this invoice and send it to, a lot of times you even have the name of the person to send it to in there. And I'm going to say, here, phase one, you owe me $606,000 and here's my bank transfer number. So it's easy for schools to fall victim to this type of thing. This isn't a real example. We made this one up. Some things a little clumsy here. But here's one that we did not make up. This actually came into a school from Travis Smith. He allowed me to share it. He's from Swartz Creek, Michigan. This is the email that his business office got. His business office received this: Hi accounting team. Yeah, it's a little generic, but hi accounting team. The following request was from Travis Smith below. I'm forwarding you invoice number, blah, 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 for processing. Kindly note, if it says kindly, they're scammers. Nobody ever uses the word kindly. Kindly note that this invoice is already overdue. There's your urgency. It's already overdue. We would appreciate if you could be processed at your earliest convenience. Please confirm receipt. This is a pretty nice looking email. This is it's got a good address, US, Brooklyn. The accounting seems right. Stephen Vickery Consulting. Here's a Stephen Vickery Consulting. The URL is from a fairly bills at, I don't know what that is, but it seems kind of legit. And if you're familiar with the forwarding, this is a previous email between Travis Smith and Stephen Vickery. And it says Stephen, so clearly Travis was emailing Stephen. It says, I sincerely apologize for the delay. So my tech, Travis Smith, is already apologizing for the delay in processing this. I had not seen your previous email before now. Now, I didn't cut it off. Travis did. He wanted to hide some things. That's fair. It was nice of him to share this example. I have reviewed the invoice and everything is probably all set. Here's the actual invoice. The amounts check out. The details here check out. Everything, the numbers check out. The address checks out. Swartz Creek, okay, I could use a street address. That would be a little bit better, but it's pretty good. Here's the strategic, the numbers. This looks like a legit invoice. Here's the problem. This email discussion here never happened. Travis never sent a message to Stephen. Travis doesn't know who Stephen is, never has seen it before. Fortunately, his business person was astute enough to say, Travis, come here. Do you know this person? And Travis went, no. It almost got it. If they hadn't been on their toes, they were about ready to say, yeah, let's just go ahead and pay this. It sounds like Travis just hasn't gotten around to approving it yet. And I could see from his previous email, he was approved, he acknowledged it, except that's all fake. So I thought this was one of the best examples, and it was super cool of him to share with us with all the pieces so that I could share it with you, and you could see how good these phishing scams are getting and how you really have to verify. You need to contact Travis. You need to double check. And if you do Google this company, there is no Stephen Vickery Consulting. If you look at this address, it's an old building in Brooklyn. It's nothing to do with the company. So unfortunately now these things have to be researched. So they are getting better, and AI isn't going to help with that. AI is going to make these things even better yet. It looks like I'm a little bit behind here, so I'm going to probably skip a little bit towards the end of this section, unless you all have a whole another hour or so. Sorry about that. I'm going to tell you about one. This is a real one that our team was involved in. It was a school downstate, even downstate from Midland. So it was in the suburban Detroit area. October 25, they had a user account in their business office. Their account was not protected with MFA. I'll tell you a little bit later what MFA is. But it hit their business office. They were able to steal the user's email and password, probably through a phishing email. They then were able to log into their email from North Korea or wherever they were at. They were able to log in and see their email and get a copy of it. They logged into their account 200 times, watching their email, just checking their email. What they were looking for is some conversations between that business office and companies where they might owe money. And they found two of them. They found one where they were talking about a payment of around $69,000. They had an exact amount. And they knew what it was for. And another one for over $200,000. And again, they knew what it was for. They were watching the email. Imagine you're a business person and some attacker can see every email between you and the other end. What they did with that was they created domains that were very similar to the companies that they owed money. So if it was, Great Excavating, they might do Great Dash Excavating or GRAT, and see if you just missed the misspelling there. So they did something to create a very similar domain. So they actually set this up. Then they injected themselves in the conversation. They pretended to be that same person with the same name, with the same tone. They may have even put in the previous email at the bottom. And they said, oh, here's our information. Here's the actual invoice for the exact amount. And they fooled the school. The school actually fell for it. They paid the $69,000 and some odd change and didn't think anything of it. They transferred the money. A few days later, they got the same request for $200,000. And it was very similar. They, in fact, that's what caught their attention. Some of the tactics were too similar. It's like, it sounded like the other one, and that's what got them suspicious. Hard to admit you messed up, but fortunately that business office went to the tech department and said, I think I may have messed up. Sure enough, they investigated, they found all the emails, they found how long the attacker was in there. They reported it to the police, they reported it to the FBI. They were not able to get their $69,000 back. Fortunately, they didn't fall for the $200,000. Fortunately, they spoke up. They were able to get over their embarrassment pretty quickly, which is a key to these things, is speak up, don't be embarrassed. They reported it, but it was too late. Cybersecurity insurance, that's something that almost every school has. Cybersecurity insurance covered the $69,000 for the school, except for their deductible. So the school was actually only out a couple $1,000s. Pretty expensive lesson, but I know that they did some things like they required MFA, they changed some business policies, and fortunately for us, they shared it with our team. We put out a report to all of the schools in Michigan with those takeaways. We reported the details that I just shared with you in a report to all the business offices and said, here's an incident that happened, here's some takeaways, some things that you should do so you don't also fall victim. So fortunately, that $69,000 went a long way to helping other schools avoid that same kind of loss. So you see the escalation in phishing emails. They're simple, quick, ugly things that just get sent out to all of us personally. But then they get more sophisticated as they target in on schools or companies. And they become very specific. They get to know more about you. They put more time into it. And they're trying for a little bit higher payload. They're not trying to get the $2 million to be moved from here to there or anything crazy like that anymore. They're more realistic about it. Scrutinize the sender. Keep your software up to date. This is a fairly easy one that a lot of people forget to do. And I will say, in order, keep Chrome updated if you use Chrome or Edge. It's very easy. Usually up here it says reboot or relaunch to update. Just click that button. It takes you 3 to 5 minutes. Typically, you don't lose anything. I've had good luck with it. Just do the relaunch. It will automatically update itself. Adobe is harder. Adobe Reader, though, is one of our most vulnerable pieces of software on your computers. You may have to go through a little bit of extra effort, but those are the two I would keep updated. Keep everything updated, but those are the two big ones. Windows should be set to automatically update. It comes that way out of the box, so it should be okay. You may just have a thing in the bottom right corner of your screen saying, click here, you have to reboot to apply updates. Go ahead and do that occasionally. That will help. Review all links. I said it before, the hover test is a big, big one. Be careful on your phone because you don't have the same options to hover on your phone. It's made to be simpler. So your phone is for quick emails you're 100% are confident. The ones from your kids, your friends, your hockey group, whatever your hobbies are. Those ones you can trust, the ones that you know you can trust, read those on your phone. Save the other ones for your computer. Again, urgency, fear, curiosity. And the next one is protect your account. So we are going to talk a little bit about that. I know we're at 12:04. So how are we doing on time, Michelle?
We're good. We've got, actually it's 11:04 for our time, so you're earlier than you think.
Oh, yeah. I forget that I'm over here.
Yeah.
So passwords, these are some suggestions on passwords. I'm going to give them to you real quick. Choose a good password. What makes a good password? Longer is the most critical thing. I'd rather have somebody use a 12-character password of all lowercase letters than to use something they think is really clever, but it's only 6 or 7 or 8 characters. So using longer is better. It's math. Take 26 times 26 times 26 times 26. Do that 12 times, and you can see the number of combinations in a 12-character password. Because that's how those work, right? The different combinations are 26 to the 12. That's a big number. So longer is better. Make them unique per service. Really hard to do. I'm going to show you a trick with that. But I know my son was saying one of the tricks he uses is he uses 2 words he likes for his password, and then in the middle he'll connect them with the first letter of the site. So is it unique? No. Maybe he uses the first 2 letters. But it's something that can be unique per site, pretty close. Like for Amazon, he might use AM. So Brown AM dog. I made that up, but that would make it unique per site. And he only got to remember Brown and dog, and then what's the site I'm on. I have a better solution, but using unique passwords, trying to figure out a way to do that's fine. Writing them down is not that terrible. We used to tell you, don't write down your passwords. That's not the threat. The threat isn't in the house. For the most part. So writing them down on paper is not a bad idea, especially if there's something you use a lot. Most services nowadays don't require you to enter your password over and over and over, so it's okay. I know I'm helping my mom with some health stuff, and I know that site does. Every time I have to enter the password, every single time. Even though it's got a button there that says remember me, it doesn't remember me. Using more characters does help. Upper and lowercase is a simple one. At least do upper and lowercase letters. If you throw a number in there, that's great too, or a question mark. Those are all nice. I'm going to come back to that a little bit, but those are the suggestions for creating a good password. Longer, unique per site, and even make more characters if you can. Here's my suggestion is think about a phrase, or I like songs. I listen to a ton of music. I like jazz, classic rock, everything, just about any kind of music at all. But if I were to take, a song title, or a line from a song, or a movie, or a line from a movie, and maybe just use those words. Maybe don't take like "I'll be back." That's pretty common, but take something else from the movie that you like. Maybe insert a question mark in the middle, or a dash, or use an upper character letter. Perfect. You've got a really good password. All you need is 2 or 3 words to come up with a nice 12-character password. And it's pretty easy to remember. In my case, I'm actually at the point where I use I'm going to skip over MFA for a second. I use a password manager called Bitwart. It's one I do recommend to people. I don't know if this will show up on your screen or not. Do you see that? I'm guessing you don't.
Yeah, Vault.
Oh, good, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are my passwords for Google. And so you can even see, I'm even able to keep my credit card in here. So the last 4 digits of my credit card, you now know, are 3 zeros. But if I were to open this up, you could actually see my password for that account. Or if it's a password box, I can click fill and it will fill in my password for me. I don't even know my password for probably 90% of the sites I go to. I will let Bitwarden generate it, save it, and I just don't know it. So that is an advanced thing. It is an extra bit of effort. You can plug it in. You can see, I think my window here, you can see I've got a little Bitwarden right there. That's Bitwarden's icon. Bitwarden has access to the site, which is Google, so that I don't have to know my password for Google. Bitwarden will fill it in for me. So that's called a password manager. Chrome has one built in. Chrome's isn't as good as Bitwarden. It's not as secure, but it's pretty darn good. So you can use the built-in Chrome or Edge save by password feature. Then you don't necessarily have to remember them. So using passwords, managing passwords, I don't have a great answer for it. It is a pain. It's the one thing all security people are embarrassed by. I wish we had a better way. The password managers are a pretty good solution for that. Bitwarden is very secure. Chrome and Edge are secure enough. I'd rather have you using unique, longer passwords and storing them in Chrome than using small, common passwords at multiple sites because you can't remember them all. So using the tools. What about changing them? It used to be recommended that you would change your password once or twice a month. That's really been debunked. For the most part, there's really not a need to change your passwords very often. Yeah.
We do have a question.
Yes.
What was your question?
If your computer gets hacked into, wouldn't they be able to go to these places where you have your passwords saved?
If your computer got hacked into, she said, wouldn't they be able to go into where you've got your password saved?
So that is the threat, is if you actually get malware on your computer, they may be able to get your Chrome or Edge passwords. That's why those are less secure. Bitwarden, no. They store them encrypted. So I would honestly have no problem giving you my library of encrypted Bitwarden passwords. Good luck trying to decrypt them. You aren't going to be able to. So that's how much confidence I have in Bitwarden. In Chrome, I have zero confidence. They do encrypt them, but they use a very weak encryption. I've personally decrypted them just so I could say I did. There's tools out there to do it. So that's why I don't trust these two as much. My computer is protected by CrowdStrike and some other nice software, so I'm not terribly concerned about my computer getting hacked. But even if it does, they're in Bitwarden. They're very safe. And Bitwarden does have an application for your phone as well. So when you're on your phone, you can have all your passwords with you there as well. It's like I say, I always feel bad talking about passwords because I don't have a great answer for you. They're our weakest link. They're the biggest thing we could fix in technology. If I could fix them, I'd be a lot richer than I am now. It'd be great. The other component, though, that does help your passwords a lot is called multi-factor authentication. And all of you probably use this to some extent. If you have a bank account and you do any online banking, they should all require you to set up your phone so that you get a text message with a secret number whenever you log in. Maybe not even whenever you log in. Sometimes you can say, remember this device, so that if you log in from this physical computer again, you don't need to do the phone trick. But then when you go, if you're at somebody's house and you need to log into your bank account, not recommended, bad example, but you would then need your phone again to get in. It's something you have, your phone, and something you know, which is your password. You can steal my password, but you can't steal my phone. Well, you could, but now you see the bar went way up, right? You'd have to do those two things to hack me. Multi-factor authentication will seriously raise your security by simply turning on multi-factor. I turn it on everywhere I can. I turn it on my bank account, all of my investment accounts, my email accounts, Facebook. I know I have it on Facebook. I enabled MFA, so you can't steal my Facebook account. There's ways attackers can take advantage of that, but it's still, you've raised the bar so high that they're gonna go to the weaker, the easier accounts to steal. So in order to, the other thing is, I'll just throw this out there in case there's any nerdier people in the room or online. There's a tool called Authy, or an app called Authy you can put on your phone that will keep track of all of those codes. So Authy's a great tool. I'll just leave it at that. If you're looking, you can, instead of doing the text me a code, you can use the Authy application.
Bitwarden
It
also
will
does that.
generate a code for that.
Bitwarden
cool
also
little
does
tools.
that, excuse me.
She's, I've got my gal saying, Bitwarden also does that.
That also offers the codes.
Does it now? I know
Yes,
they
it
keep
has
adding
for a
features to
while.
it.
Yeah, it works really great too.
Okay, good. They also, I know they do passcodes and some other things, so this is the area of computers that they're trying to fix for people, because it is really, really weak.
What do you think of
You think
passkeys?
about,
What do you think of passkeys?
passkeys are fantastic. They're tied to like the hardware of the device. So it's virtually impossible. If you set up a passkey, it's virtually impossible for the attacker to get access to your account now through normal means. So highly recommended. You have to set them up for each device, like once for your phone, once for your computer. So
Yep.
Thank you.
they're still new. So yeah, they're still new.
They're new.
I find it, sometimes it doesn't, like okay, this is gonna be a sidetrack. I try to set one up on my phone here, or I'm sorry, my computer here at work, but I'm looking at a big screen right now. I have my laptop over here. So it wants to do facial recognition to set up, so I'm doing this. Looking at my camera, and back at the screen. So it's really, there's some awkward elements to it that we're trying to work through. But passcodes are the way we're going. We're going towards passcodes. Fingerprint, face, a PIN number, something that
Yeah.
identifies this computer to them. So, good question. I'm glad somebody brought that up. I'm glad to hear that that's out there. Very quickly, how hackers get your password. They can break into the site, but that's sort of 1990s, early 2000s, where sites would store the passwords in a text file. But that is a way that they used to do it. They'd break into the site, they'd see a file called passwords, and they would steal it. That's still possible. Sites aren't that motivated. Companies aren't that motivated to protect your passwords. It's not their problem, right? So that's what they think. So in the old days, it was really easy, and that was a target. But now it's easier to trick you for it. Pretend to be the company, or pretend some way or another to get your password from you. That's the easiest way to get it, is straight from you. But they could steal it from another site. The other site might have it. I don't remember quite what I meant from that. I knew. But they could guess it if you use a weak password. I had a friend who had a Hotmail account, and her password was coolpix123. It's nice and long. It's cool PIX123. Not a great password. The attacker guessed it. And once the attacker had access to her Hotmail account, they could then go into Facebook and say, I forgot my password. Facebook goes, okay, we're gonna mail it to the email account you have on file. Well, that was Hotmail. So now they were able to change their Facebook password. They hijacked her Facebook account and took it over. She couldn't get back into it. Facebook will not help you. Facebook will not help you really get your account back there. She spent days trying to get her account back, and she never did. She just had to give up on it. They took her account and made it and posted as her, saying, hi, I'm trying to sell this stuff. My sister passed away, and here's some stuff that I'm trying to sell. Here's some really good prices on it. Want to give it to family and friends. And people were falling for it.
Mm.
They were buying it, working with her, even though it wasn't her at all. So it's really important that you try to separate those accounts and keep your passwords unique. But in her case, they guessed it. Another way is they can change it. They can click that forgot my password. I just gave you an example of that. Then they might be able to set it up so that the I forgot my password redirects to an account they control, or goes to an account they've already cracked, or from a dictionary. They have a dictionary of stolen passwords. They have billions of stolen passwords in a password dictionary and they will try to use all of those billions of passwords on your account. I'm gonna skip these next 2 points. But I wanted to show you the numbers. If you have an 8-character password and it's only numbers, according to this table, with typical computer hardware, with standard, fairly available computer hardware, it can be cracked instantly, what they call instantly. If it's just lowercase letters and it's only 8 characters, they can do that almost instantly. I told you the math on that, right? 26, if I did the math right, to the 12 or to the 8th. So it's a big number, but it's still virtually instantly to crack that password. Takes 2 minutes if you add uppercase letters. 7 minutes here, 39. But if you use 12 characters, it can take 24 years. All you have to do is upper and lowercase letters. And the scary part is this table was printed in 2023. And I'm not sure what kind of hardware they had. I don't think this is typical hardware. I think this is slightly advanced hardware. But regardless, this picture gives you the idea. Longer and make it a little more upper and lowercase, at least use this. So when I generate passwords, I do 14 characters myself all the time, and I use upper and lowercase and numbers. That's what I tell Bitwarden to generate. And again, I don't remember them. I don't even try. They just, boom, that's my password. Good luck guessing it. Good luck trying to crack it.
No. Oh, we have
We're gonna
one,
jump into protecting.
we have a
Go ahead.
quick question. Varsha?
Is there a difference between the different email providers? Are any more secure than others?
I think it's between email providers.
Yeah, are any more secure than others?
Both Google and Microsoft, I think, do a really good job of protecting your security.
Okay.
Those are the biggest ones. I haven't used Yahoo in a long time, but the smaller companies, the less revenue they have, the less they spend on protecting your email account.
So it's
So
Hotmail back.
I encourage everyone to move
No, Hotmail,
to
Microsoft.
Google or a Microsoft account. My family, that's what I tell them. Just, honestly, they used AOL for a long time, back when it was an easy way for the family to chat. It took me forever to convince them, get off AOL. AOL's revenue is going down and down and down. They're not putting the money into security like they should. I don't want to pick on them, but you saw it happening with AOL. And we were seeing more attacks on AOL, so they finally moved off. And that was, I felt like, finally, good. You're on Google, that helps. And I don't advocate for either company, just most corporations are fine too. Schools are good if you have, some people still are able to use their college account or a work account. You shouldn't use personal stuff in your email. Keep those two things separate. But my cyber defense, really quickly, is be paranoid, keep your software up to date. I mentioned some of these already. Verify things before you spend any money. Verify them offline. Don't use the information in the email. Check it through another source. Never rely on the provided information. So I'm repeating them. This is already stuff we've covered. Here's a new one though. Have I been pawned? It sounds like a hacker website. And it spun over to this. You see the new website, right?
Yeah.
Michelle?
Yeah, I see. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to make sure I followed the tip. So what you can do is punch in your email address. This is a legit site, by the way. This site looks hackery, but it turns out it's used by CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike trusts this site. The Michigan State Police, I talked to Brandon Smith there, who I work with often, and he said he's talked to the developer of this site. And he understands exactly how it works. They vetted them and they recommend this same site. And they say you can check your email. And I'm in 0 data breaches. Yay.
Wow. Good for you. Never heard of that.
Back, right? I can do it again. Now, if I go to my old EdZone account, don't judge me. This is my old account. I've had it for about 40 years. 14 data breaches.
Wow.
One was Wired.com in September of 25. And if we scroll down far enough, it was all the way back to 2019. I have no idea what this even is. How did I get into verifications.io? Apollo. Look, there's some newsletters in here I've never even read and wouldn't read. River City Media spam list. I don't know how they got but they found that email account in these data breaches. So this goes all the way back to 2012.
Wow.
LinkedIn, that's a big one. LinkedIn, 2012 LinkedIn was a big one. So this is a good one to find out. Now, there's nothing I can do about it, but it does say, maybe I need to update my password with this email account. Don't rely on any passwords since September of 25. Now, in Wired, it doesn't say that they stole passwords, so I'm safe there. But kind of an interesting one, I thought you might like that. They actually have, for the bold, they actually have a password where you can test your password too. Now, typing your password without your email makes you feel better. So I'm not saying do it. Oh yeah, you can see that Bitwarden is suggesting it because it sees the word password in here, and so it's suggesting a generated password. That's not my password. They're suggesting if I want to create a password, I could use this one. So let's try my friend's cool picks 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that one's been seen 1,066 times before in data breaches.
Oh my gosh.
Not a great password. So you can test a password here. And who's to say this company doesn't take them and put them into a dictionary, right? A password. Well, the Michigan State Police say that, and CrowdStrike says that. So you might be able to trust them. Personally, I've never put my password in here. I'm not going to, but I thought you might find that interesting. That kind of a way to test it. And when I talked to Brandon, he said they never send the password to them. They encrypt it on your browser and then send the encryption to them. So they can't actually see your password. I won't get into the technical pieces of that, but it makes sense how he explained it to me.
Wow.
Remember that more security is almost always less convenience. It's just like your house. You know, if you put 3 bolts and the chain, the keys, and the next, it's going to be less convenient to get in and out of the house. So it's just the way that's unfortunately the way it works in the digital world. I hear people complain all the time about, oh, this site, so many passwords. Would you rather it have none? You know. Google settings, again, I'm going to try to go through this fast because I'm a little bit over time. If anybody needs to leave, it's not going to hurt my feelings. That's fine. If you have a Google account, you can go up to this picture here, and you can actually see it, I think, here, because I'm in the window. Yeah. Yep. I could click on this, or, yeah, I'm in presentation mode. So this would also do it where it would come up and say, manage your account. Ooh. Play with it. Yeah, I think there's a way, manage your Google account. It looks slightly different because it's a slightly different spot than what I just mentioned. Sorry. Let me move that down there. But you can almost always find it underneath your profile picture. Manage your Google account. And when you get in there, there's a whole list of settings on the left that you should look at. Security and sign-in, third-party apps and services, change password. I'm not going to go into all of these today. You can also just go to myaccount.google.com. And that's where you can turn on MFA. You can actually see if you have any credit card numbers saved. You might want to delete them. You might be okay with them in there. It's up to you. You can look at your data and privacy. What can people know about you? Third-party connections. If you've ever gone to a site and it says log in with your Google account, and it just makes a back-end connection, I do that. I trust that. But I don't always remember who I've done that with. So if you want to see the list, that third-party apps and services, you can see the list of who you've made that type of connection with. And you can get rid of that connection. You can break that connection. So one of the recommendations that I tell people is if you use Google, go into the Google settings, go into the manage my account and look at the security and sign-in information. I would do that. I'd carve out an hour, put it on your calendar and just sit down and do it and get familiar with it. If you aren't sure about what the settings mean, go into, you can go into Google what that setting is and maybe have to do some research. It can be a complicated world. I always feel bad telling you that, but that's kind of the way it is. If you're doing MFA though, and you're using longer passwords, if you do something like Bitwarden, you're already one of the, I like to say, faster runners in the wood. The bear will catch somebody else. You know, you don't have to be You don't have to be the fastest runners, you just make sure you aren't the slowest. So these are follow-ups I'm not gonna go into. These are links. This is for anybody with the thing. There's an application you can put on your phone that does help called Michigan Secure app. It's free for all Michigan residents. It's a free app you can put on your phone. It will do some nice things for you. It will help watch your phone. Again, I'm not gonna get into these. The FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, that's where you go to report if you got scammed or go sooner than later. They can usually pull your money back if you tell them right away. That's more for consumers. Again, we don't typically use that. We did with that one school that lost money, but it was too late. Read that report. I showed you graphs at the beginning. Involve local police. Don't feel bad reaching out to them, especially if you get scammed. They'll probably point you right away to FBI. Make social media private. That's beyond the scope of today's presentation, but keeping the public away from your private social media is important. That's an article that really will help you walk you through that process. Review your linked accounts. I mentioned my friend who's to Facebook. So review security settings and review your Google settings. So I'm going to tell you about the rest of the slides that I have. I'm going to talk to you briefly about MiSecure because I got to get a plug in for what we're doing for schools. I'm going to skip, I think, the next 4 slides. Yeah. This is what ransomware is. You can feel free to read about it, malicious stuff. I copied these from a previous session that I think just in case we had time to talk about what schools have to deal with. So there were 4 or 5 slides in there about what's happening in schools around ransomware and how those attacks happen. But here's what we're doing about it here. I mentioned MiSecure at the beginning. I'm kind of wrapping up with it. I'm not going to read through this, but this is what we were funded to do for another couple of years yet. So I'm excited to be wrapping up my career this way, working with schools. This is our website. If you go to MiSecure.org, you'll see some tools that we created for schools. And our operations center team is linked there. This is open to the public. You can go in there and see what your tax money is doing. To be honest, a pretty small amount, $9 million out of the school fund aid. That equates to about, I think, $6 a student in 1 year. And we're funded for almost 5 years, so just 4 or 5 years. So about $1.50 a kid per year is what we pulled out to do what our team is doing. 4 cybersecurity analysts, full-time. We developed that SOC team. We have a phone number. Schools can call at any time. We provide CrowdStrike for free to school servers. CrowdStrike is the most elite, high-end software to protect servers. When attackers see it, they typically just leave. We've already been effective. I'm going to cover that in a second, but it's available to all schools for free for their servers. Then we have super low pricing if they want to protect additional machines, like a superintendent laptop or a business manager laptop. But their servers are protected. We offer training and support, assistance and incident response. That's, do we get called in if there's a cybersecurity incident? Yes, we do. That's what our team is for. So we've sat up here literally at 3 a.m. walking a school through what to do. I'm not going to talk about this slide. This is what the software does. It's in there. If you're more technically inclined, you can read through that later. Here's our effectiveness. On that website I mentioned, we have a legislative report. You can read through that. Here's the highlights. 23,000 threats were automatically mitigated by the software last year. 512 of those were critical. Some were just minor threats, but 512 of them reached the critical stage. They're each evaluated. All those 23,000 are either critical, high, medium, low, or informational. 512 were critical, and they were stopped. We know our team and the software has stopped 9 ransomware sessions at a school. A ransomware attack happens when they encrypt all of the servers, so those servers are not usable, but they can be decrypted with a key, and they want to sell you the key. The attacker will encrypt your computers in your school and offer to sell you the decryption key for $500,000. We stopped 9 of those in the last year. That might be a year and a half. We're really proud of that. We can back that up. We love talking about it. It's in the report. The $9 million just on the cost savings of the software alone, but also on those those blocked ransomware attacks, we know that we've returned $38 million in revenue or in value I'm a math major. I love talking about that. I don't like funny numbers, so I have a lot of confidence in that number. 400% return on investment. I think it's common sense. If you fund it at the top and you get super low rates and you have a team to deploy it, doing some of those things yourselves is just would have been tough. 20 million of that 38 million is in avoided expenses. Oh, I didn't even, almost now, actually, as of today, we're at 6,100 servers in the state are protected. 6,100 servers are protected, 45,000 workstations. That's an update just since January. All of the ISDs, except for one, is onboarded. We're working with that last one. They just are super low staffed, and we know they're ready. They just haven't they haven't done it yet. But every district is eligible. 2/3 of the districts have opted for MDR. The other third are using something else. They just rely on something. They probably already purchased it for multiple years. And we see them gradually coming on. So that number is probably at 70% now. And it's climbing, maybe even 72 or 73%. The initial grant was awarded to Ingham ISD because it has to be awarded to a school. That school then reached out to MAISA as a neutral third party, a not-for-profit. They hired MAISA to set us up and implement the grant. So everything you're seeing here is all available here on our website underneath operations team legislative reports. So I'm not trying to move through that too fast, but that's a wrap. I'll open up for question and answers and apologize for going 20 minutes over.
Oh, no worries. Does anyone have any follow-up questions for Matt?
I've got one.
Okay.
On my iPhone, I've been receiving text messages that are phishing, and I go in and block that number, and then I report it spam and delete it. But then the next day, I get the same message from a different phone number.
Yes.
100%. You're not alone. The best defense against those is actually the phone service that you're using. I happen to use AT&T. I'm not advocating for them, but I have pretty good luck with them. The the Michigan Secure app that I mentioned earlier that's actually worked through DTMB and it's linked in there, the Michigan Secure app. Having that on your phone gives you a bit of peace of mind as well. So I'm going to share a slide that might resonate with you, or a picture that might resonate with you a little bit. This one always cracks me up.
Okay.
These third world companies or countries, if you can go in and make a few bucks doing this, I get it. I understand where you're coming from, but that's what's happening is they have these piles of computers, or piles of phones, and that's who you're interacting with. So when you get these text messages saying hi, and their name is Karen, or comes through Facebook and wants to be your friend, that's what you're seeing is just these arrays. And there isn't really much you can do about it. I haven't found anything good. I know that AT&T works good for me. I know Verizon, it's kind of their competition now. Verizon's working hard. The smaller companies probably don't have the resources to be able to do as good a job protecting against that stuff, but
I've been into
no great answer there either.
I've been
Don't
into
engage. Just don't engage. You're doing the right thing. Block, delete, and block.
I've been into the Verizon store, and it helped about 90%.
Okay.
So it's a lot better, but
Good.
it's still there.
That's
Joanne,
great.
do you have?
Yes, I have a question for you. I can't believe I got scammed on this. I was in New York and I was trying not to take toll roads. I ended up taking a couple of toll roads and the toll one got me. Because I was just in New York, and so how did they know I was in New York and they wanted me to pay my $6.72? And I knew it was a scam when I put my credit card number in and they said, add another credit card. And I go, what? I thought maybe I put a wrong number in there. So, and so then I knew it was a scam. And of course I put a hold on my credit card, but they had already stolen $500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a hassle, right? Because now you got to deal with your credit cards.
Well, the credit card, good for them. They called me about it. Told me I had, fashion.
Yeah, my credit card's been pretty good about that too. I've had my credit card number stolen and you get the call saying, hey, was this you? And you're like, oh, no, it wasn't. So the toll roads is a great example. I almost got scammed once where I sent out 2 pieces of equipment, returned it to the vendor. And I hadn't done that in a long time. I'm like, did I do it right? And the next day I get 2 separate emails saying your package could not be delivered from UPS. I'm like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. So I clicked on the first one and something that they took me to, I was like, oh, wait, I just got tricked into clicking. So I got burnt by that same kind of thing where it's just an incredible coincidence.
And the
But if they
Secretary
send
of
out
State one. was
50,000 of those toll road things, of 50,000 people, a few people will have been to New York or wherever they're from.
Yeah, I don't know how they got it.
I think, Bill, you have a question?
Just luck.
Can
Bill,
you offer advice? I don't do this anymore because I carry a battery pack. Do you recommend or not recommend plugging your phone in to a charging port in an airport or a hotel or a public venue?
I'm comfortable with it. You know, if I have to be official, I'd say no, I don't recommend it. Do I do it at the airport in the chair here? Yeah, I've done it. I've done it several times to get a charge. If I'm I kind of check my surroundings. You know, if I'm in a place I've never been before, I'm a little suspicious. Yeah, I might not rely on them. But for the most part anymore, phones are really good at protecting you against that kind of thing. There's some things that we've heard over the years that are terribly scary that frankly, we just don't run across that much. So I don't tend to push those, like, you know, I can't, like putting a USB drive into your computer. Yeah, don't do it. If you don't know it, be careful with it. If it's a random one, be careful with it. But that's kind of old school. Computers have figured that out, so they've adjusted so that they protect themselves against that. It's not nearly the threat that it has been. Officially, I've got to say those things because they're still true. But when it comes to threats, they're just not as big a threat as we did a review of all of the incidents that we were involved in last year. It's on our website. We did an incident report of all the websites. 75% of everything we dealt with, I think there were over 20 of them. So over at least 15% of the incidents that we dealt with all started with a simple stolen password. That's all it was. It started with a simple stolen password and it escalated. So that's what's going to get you is that phishing email and your password.
Matt, we're gonna have to undo our room because I know there's a meeting in here in the library in a short time, but I want to thank you so much for this. Has been highly valuable. I've seen such high engagement. This is quite a service that you've provided in this short period of time.
I'm glad I've had the chance to work with you directly. You know, I'm used to working with schools, so it's fun to work with real people.
Well, if you ever find your way up to the nominee, you've got my email.
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I'll take your surveys if you
Bye.
want one, and if you don't have a pen or
Thanks so
pencil, I
much.
have that here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Oh.